White guest shoved black woman into pool, then realized they just assaulted billionaire's wife. Calabasas, California. Saturday afternoon, July sun beating down. A black woman in a simple one-piece swimsuit was walking toward the community pool, just trying to enjoy the same summer day every other resident paid HOA fees for, completely unaware that the next 45 minutes would prove once again that black skin in a wealthy white neighborhood equals suspicion. What the white guests gathered for the Johnson family reunion didn't know? This wasn't just any black woman. This was Dr. Imani Okafor Chen, wife of tech billionaire Marcus Chen, owner of the very property their hosts were renting. That ignorance, that assumption based on skin color, would cost them everything. The Valencia Heights community was the kind of place where every house looked like it belonged in Architectural Digest. Palm trees lined streets named after Spanish conquistadors, security gates, manicured lawns. The pool area featured cabanas, a swim-up bar, and rules posted on a gold-plated sign. Rules that somehow only seemed to apply when certain residents showed up. Imani knew this dance. She'd lived in Valencia Heights for 3 years. 3 years of being stopped by security, asked if she was visiting someone, watched as white neighbors clutched their purses tighter when she jogged past. Her locks, thick and beautiful, pulled back into a high puff today, always drew stares. Her dark skin, the color of rich mahogany, always required extra explanation. Her very existence in this zip code always demanded justification. She'd had the talk with her twins last month. 6 years old, asking why the neighbor kids' parents didn't let them play together anymore. How do you explain to first graders that some people will fear them, hate them, underestimate them, simply for existing? How do you tell babies that their beautiful brown skin, their natural hair, their African names will be used against them? Not today, she told herself that morning. Today, she was going to swim in the pool her HOA fees helped maintain. Read her book, enjoy the sun, exist in peace. She should have known better. As Imani approached the pool gate, she noticed the crowd immediately. At least 30 people, all white, laughing, music playing, taking up every chair, every cabana, coolers everywhere. A family reunion, by the looks of it. The Johnsons, her brain supplied. The family renting the Castellano property for the month. She swiped her keycard. The gate clicked open. That's when the stares started. Conversations paused mid-sentence. A woman in a zebra print bikini nudged her husband. 2 teenage boys stopped their game of chicken in the shallow end. Someone turned the music down. Imani felt it, that familiar weight, the scrutiny, the assessment, the unspoken question hanging in the chlorine-scented air. Does she belong here? She kept walking, head high, toward an empty lounge chair near the deep end, set down her bag, pulled out her towel, her book, The Warmth of Other Suns, Isabel Wilkerson. The irony wasn't lost on her. Excuse me? A woman's voice, sharp as broken glass. Imani looked up. Zebra print bikini, probably mid-50s, skin leathered from too many tanning beds, vodka soda in hand. Her name tag read Deborah Johnson, reunion coordinator. Yes? Imani kept her voice level. Professional. Code switched into what her grandmother called her white voice, a survival tactic perfected over decades. This is a private event. Deborah gestured around, ice cubes clinking. Family only. I live here. 2 words. Calm. Measured. Even though her heart was already racing, even though she knew where this was going, even though she'd practiced this exact scenario in her head 100 times, Deborah's eyebrows shot up. You? Live here in Valencia Heights? The disbelief, the audacity, the assumption that a black woman couldn't possibly afford a $4.3 million home in one of California's most exclusive communities. Unit 847, Imani said. Been here 3 years. Well, we've rented the pool area for the afternoon. Deborah crossed her arms, her body language screaming, I'm in charge here. So you'll need to come back later. Imani felt something shift inside her. That thing that every black person knows, the moment where you decide, Do I walk away and preserve my peace? Or do I stand my ground and risk escalation? She thought about her twins, about the lessons she was teaching them, about every ancestor who'd fought for her right to exist in spaces like this, about the exhaustion of constantly shrinking herself to make white people comfortable. The pool rules don't allow for private events, Imani said, pulling out her phone, opening the Ho app. Section 4.7. Community amenities are available to all residents at all times. Social gatherings are permitted but cannot exclude other residents. She turned her phone around, showed Deborah the screen. Deborah barely glanced at it. I don't care what your little app says. We paid for this space. You paid to use this space. Not to own it. Not to exclude residents. Listen, Deborah's voice dropped, took on that particular tone. The one that said, I'm trying to be nice, but you're pushing it. I don't know how you people do things where you're from, but if you're a black person watching this, you already know where this is going, don't you? How many times have you been told you don't belong in a space you paid for? How many times have you had to prove your right to exist? Drop a comment, but first, you need to hear what these people didn't know about who they were messing with. Have you experienced this? The assumption, the profiling, the exhaustion of constantly proving yourself. Comment your story below. This is a safe space. We see you. Imani's jaw tightened. Where I'm from Atlanta, but I don't see how that's relevant. All I'm saying is, maybe you should come back later, when it's more appropriate. Code 4, when white people aren't using the space. That's when Deborah made her first critical mistake. She reached out and put her hand on Imani's shoulder, uninvited, unwelcome, a physical assertion of dominance. Come on now. Don't make this difficult. Here's what Imani was thinking. What every black person thinks in these moments. Do I make a scene and confirm their stereotypes? Do I stay calm and let them humiliate me? Do I code switch harder? Or do I stand my ground and risk this escalating? She'd had the talk. She knew how quickly situations like this could turn deadly. She'd seen the videos, watched Ahmaud Arbery gunned down for jogging, Breonna Taylor murdered in her sleep, George Floyd breathed his last under a knee, been to too many funerals, signed too many petitions, cried too many tears. But what Deborah couldn't see? The phone in Imani's bag wasn't just any phone. The contact list included governors, senators, CEOs. The woman standing before her in a simple Target swimsuit had 3 degrees, including a PhD in public health from Johns Hopkins. The ring on her finger, modest by her choice, represented a marriage to one of Forbes' top 100 billionaires. The house she lived in? She and Marcus had paid cash. Deborah didn't see any of that. She saw black skin and made assumptions. I'm going to ask you one more time, Deborah said, louder now, attracting attention from the other guests. Leave the pool. Now. And I'm going to tell you one more time. I live here. I have every right to use this pool. A man approached Deborah's husband by the matching Johnson reunion t-shirt. Tall, red-faced, beer gut hanging over swim trunks. What's the problem here? This girl won't leave, Deborah said. Girl, Imani was 38 years old. Ma'am, you need to go, he said, his voice carrying that authority men like him always assumed they had. This is a private event. We paid good money. To rent the Castellano property, Imani interrupted, not to privatize community amenities. There's a difference. The man's face reddened further. Are you a lawyer now? No, Imani said calmly. But I can call mine if needed. I'm just trying to swim. That's it. You can continue your party. There's room for everyone. But see, that was never going to work. Because for people like Deborah and her husband, let's call him Brad, because of course his name was Brad, having a black woman present was the problem. Her very existence disrupted their comfort, their assumption of ownership, their belief that spaces like Valencia Heights were theirs. A younger woman, maybe mid-20s, approached. Mom, is everything okay? This woman won't leave, Deborah said, voice rising. I don't even think she lives here. Probably snuck in. There it was. The accusation. The criminalization. The assumption that a black woman at a luxury pool must be lying, trespassing, criminal. How many of you just felt your blood pressure rise? That's recognition, isn't it? Imani's phone buzzed in her bag. She ignored it. Kept her hands visible, her body language non-threatening, all the things black people learn to do to stay alive. I showed you my app, Imani said. I can show you my ID, my key card, my mortgage statement if you need, but I shouldn't have to. You didn't ask anyone else here to prove they belong. That's because we invited them. Deborah shrieked. And I don't need an invitation. I live here. Brad pulled out his phone. I'm calling security. Please do, Imani said. Her voice was steel wrapped in silk. Ask for Miguel. He knows me. But Brad was already dialing, already speaking. Yeah, we've got a situation at the pool. Black female, late 20s. She was 38, refusing to leave, getting aggressive. She was standing still, might be armed. She was in a trespassing. Need someone here now. Drop a or if you've lived this. We're not alone. Within minutes, the entire Johnson family reunion had formed a semicircle around Imani. 30-plus people, all staring, all aligned against one black woman trying to swim. Some looked uncomfortable. Those were the ones who knew this was wrong but wouldn't speak up. Complicit by silence. Some looked angry. Those were the ones who genuinely believed Imani was the problem. Some recorded on their phones, but not for Imani's protection. For evidence of the crazy black woman they'd tell stories about later. You're very articulate, one woman said, as if complimenting Imani for basic human speech. Where did you go to school? The microaggression was so textbook, Imani almost laughed. You're very articulate, Tex. I'm surprised a black person can speak proper English. Johns Hopkins, Imani said. Undergrad at Spelman. Medical training at... Medical training? Deborah interrupted, voice dripping with skepticism. You're a doctor? I have a PhD, yes. In what? Affirmative action? Brad's brother called out. Several people laughed. And there it was, the delegitimization of black achievement. The assumption that any success must be unearned, given, stolen, never earned through brilliance, hard work, perseverance, despite systemic barriers. Imani's hand flexed. Every fiber of her being wanted to scream, to rage, to unleash the fury of 400 years of this exact degradation. But she knew better. She'd been trained better, not by choice, but by necessity. Trained to survive encounters with people who saw her skin before her humanity. You don't have to believe me, Imani said. You just have to share this space. That's it. That's all I'm asking. And we're asking you to leave, Deborah said. You're making our guests uncomfortable? I'm making them uncomfortable? By existing? By not taking a hint, the teenagers had gotten out of the pool now, water dripping, forming part of the wall of bodies. The music had stopped completely. Someone's toddler was crying, picking up on the tension. Have you ever been so calm outside while screaming inside? Imani noticed one person, a woman, maybe 60, black, wearing a catering uniform, setting up the food table. Their eyes met. The woman's expression said everything. I see you. I know. I'm sorry. But I can't help. I need this job. That moment of recognition between black women, one who'd made it, one who was still navigating service in white spaces, was a whole conversation without words. Security is on their way, Brad announced, puffing his chest. And if you're still here when they arrive, you'll be arrested for trespassing. I'll take my chances, Imani said. Her phone buzzed again, then again. Someone was calling repeatedly. She glanced at her bag, her husband Marcus, calling. He must have seen the calendar reminder, knew she'd gone to the pool, was probably checking in. But answering would mean looking away, reaching into her bag, making sudden movements. And with 30 hostile white people surrounding her, that felt dangerous. So she let it ring. Miguel Hernandez had worked security at Valencia Heights for 8 years. He knew every resident, every car, every pattern. He especially knew Dr. Okafor Chen, who always stopped to ask about his daughter, who'd written a recommendation letter for his son's college application, who tipped the staff generously at Christmas. So when he got the call about a threatening black woman at the pool, his heart sank. Not again. He arrived on his golf cart already knowing this was going to be ugly. Saw the crowd. Saw Imani standing alone, shoulders back, chin up. Saw the defiance and dignity and exhaustion in her posture. "Miguel," she said, relief flooding her voice. A familiar face. A witness. "Dr. Chen," he acknowledged, using her married name to establish her status. "Is there a problem?" "Yes." Deborah rushed forward. "This woman refuses to leave. We have the pool reserved." Miguel looked at his clipboard. "Ma'am, there's no reservation system for the pool. Community rules. I don't care about community rules. We're paying guests. She's trespassing." "Dr. Chen lives in Unit 847, Miguel said carefully. "She's a resident. She has every right to." "You're lying," Brad shouted. "You're covering for her. How much is she paying you?" And there it was, the assumption that a black security guard couldn't possibly be honest, that he must be corrupt, that any validation of Imani's right to exist must be a conspiracy. Miguel's jaw tightened. He'd dealt with this before, residents who treated him like help until he contradicted their narrative, then suddenly he was part of the problem. "Sir, I'm just doing my job," Miguel said, "and my job is to enforce community rules. Dr. Chen is a resident in good standing. I want to see proof." Deborah demanded, "Show me your lease. Show me your mortgage. Show me ID. Would you have kept your composure? We all know what happens when we don't." Imani took a deep breath, reached slowly into her bag, everyone tensed, and pulled out her wallet. California driver's license, address clearly stating 847 Valencia Heights Drive. A key card with her photo and unit number. Credit card with her name. She handed them to Miguel, who examined them and handed them to Deborah. Deborah studied the ID like she was a TSA agent, looking for any reason to declare it fake. "This could be anyone's. It literally has my photo and address," Imani said. "Photos can be doctored. You could have stolen this. Are you serious right now?" Imani's code switching cracked slightly, a hint of her real voice coming through. "What do I have to do to prove I live here? Show you my mortgage statement? My tax returns? My birth certificate? Do you want a DNA test? Don't get hostile." Brad stepped forward, positioning himself between Imani and Deborah as if Imani was the threat. "I'm not hostile, I'm frustrated. You've questioned me, accused me of trespassing, lying, theft, all because I want to swim in my own community pool." "Our pool," someone shouted from the crowd. "Community pool," Imani corrected. "That's what community amenities means. We all own it. We all pay for it. We all have rights to it, hit like if these stories need to be told. Racism thrives in silence." "Ma'am, maybe you should just come back later," Miguel said quietly to Imani. When things calmed down, it wasn't a suggestion born from rules or policy. It was a plea from one person of color to another. "Don't die here. Not for this. Not for a pool." But Imani was done compromising, done shrinking, done leaving spaces she paid for because her presence made white people uncomfortable. "No," she said. "I'm staying." She turned, walked toward the lounge chair she'd originally claimed, sat down, pulled out her book. The act of sitting, of simply existing in that space, was apparently too much. Deborah marched over, grabbed Imani's book from her hands. "You need to leave." Imani stood, muscle memory from every self-defense lesson her father had taught her activating. "Don't touch my property. This is our space." Deborah's voice had reached shrieking pitch. "It's everyone's space." And then, later when lawyers reviewed the footage from 6 different phones, the exact sequence would be debated, but it happened fast. Brad grabbed Imani's arm. Imani pulled away. Deborah shoved Imani's shoulder. Imani stumbled backward, her feet catching on the pool edge. For a moment, she windmilled, trying to catch balance. Someone laughed. And then she was falling. The water was cold, a shock after the hot sun. She went under, her locks heavy with chlorine, her phone, oh God, her phone, in her bag on the chair, her book floating away. When she surfaced, gasping, the entire Johnson family was cheering, clapping, laughing at the black woman in the pool. That's what you get. Someone called out. Miguel was shouting into his radio, "We need backup. We need police. There's been an assault." Assault? Brad laughed. She fell. She was being aggressive and she fell, but the phones, those 6 phones that had been recording, told a different story. Can you see your mother, sister/brother in this? Yourself? Imani treaded water, her mind racing. She was humiliated, assaulted, laughed at. Every fear her parents had warned her about, every reason they'd given for the talk, was materializing. But underneath the humiliation, something else was growing. Something cold and certain and absolutely done with this treatment. She swam to the ladder, climbed out, water streaming from her body, walked to her bag, pulled out her phone, somehow still dry in its waterproof case. 13 missed calls from Marcus. 47 text messages in the family group chat. And, because her phone had automatically backed up to the cloud, a video notification. Someone nearby with an Apple Watch had triggered an emergency recording. Everything had been captured. Everything. You see what happens when you don't listen? Deborah said, triumphant. You brought this on yourself. The victim blaming was immediate, instinctive. The same logic that blamed enslaved people for their enslavement, that blamed lynching victims for looking at white women, that blamed every black person killed by police for not complying. Imani dripped chlorinated water onto the concrete, her swimsuit clinging to her, her dignity tested but not broken. You pushed me, she said, her voice deadly calm. You physically assaulted me, and it's all on video. Video doesn't show everything, Brad said. Shows you being aggressive, refusing to leave, threatening us. Threatening you? I was sitting down, reading a book. You were trespassing. I live here. The scream tore from Imani's throat. All the code switching burned away. Her real voice, her real self, her real fury, unleashed. The crowd went silent. I live in this community, Imani said, every word deliberate. I pay hoe fees. I follow the rules. I'm a resident. I have a doctorate. I'm a wife, a mother, a neighbor, a taxpayer, a human being. And you, she pointed at Deborah, you decided the moment you saw my skin that I didn't belong. You didn't ask any white person here to prove they were invited. You didn't question anyone else's right to exist in this space. Just me. Why? Because I'm black. Don't make this about race, someone muttered. Then what is it about? Imani challenged. Tell me. What made you assume I was trespassing? What made you call security? What made you put your hands on me? What was it, if not my skin color? Silence. The truth, hanging in chlorinated air, undeniable. You people always play the race card, Brad finally said. You people. Miguel winced. Even some of the Johnson family members looked uncomfortable now, realizing how bad this looked, how bad this was. I'm done here, Imani said. She gathered her belongings, book waterlogged, towel soaked, bag dripping, started toward the gate. Yeah, that's right, leave. Someone called out. But Imani stopped at the gate, turned around. I need all your names, she said. Everyone who participated in this. Everyone who laid hands on me. Everyone who recorded me without consent. Because my lawyers, and trust me, I have very good lawyers, will be reaching out. You're going to sue us? Deborah laughed. For what? Assault, battery, harassment, violation of my civil rights under the Fair Housing Act, intentional infliction of emotional distress, defamation. Imani ticked them off on her fingers, and that's just the start. Good luck proving anything, Brad said. Oh, I won't need luck. Imani held up her phone, showing the cloud backup notification. I've got video from 6 angles, all automatically uploaded. I've got Miguel as a witness. I've got my medical records, yes. I'm going to the hospital to document these bruises. I've got HOA rules you violated. And most importantly, she smiled, but it wasn't kind. I've got resources you can't even imagine. When was the last time you had to prove you deserved to exist in a space? Imani walked toward the gate. Behind her, the Johnsons were already crafting their narrative. The aggressive black woman, the innocent victims, the justified response. Her phone rang again. Marcus. She answered this time. Baby, where are you? I've been calling. I'm at the pool, she said, her voice cracking now that she heard his voice, the safety of it. Or I was. I was just assaulted. What? His voice went sharp, dangerous. By who? The family renting the Castellano property. They? Her voice broke. The adrenaline was wearing off, the reality setting in. They pushed me in the pool, Marcus. They said I didn't belong here. Called security on me. Put their hands on me. Are you hurt? My pride more than anything. But yes, I hit my elbow. I have bruises. Stay right there. I'm 10 minutes away. Don't go anywhere. Don't say anything else. I'm calling David right now. David Brennan, their attorney, the one who'd negotiated Marcus's last $2 billion acquisition. Marcus, I just want to come home. You will, baby. But first, these people are going to learn exactly who they put their hands on. Imani stood outside the pool gate, dripping, shivering despite the heat. Miguel stood with her. A quiet presence. A witness. Dr. Chen, I'm so sorry, he said. I tried. It's not your fault, Miguel. Thank you for being here. 8 minutes later, a Tesla Model X pulled up, black and sleek. Marcus Chen stepped out, tall, slim, Chinese-American, dressed in a Patagonia quarter-zip and jeans, looking like exactly what he was, Silicon Valley royalty. Behind him, another car. David Brennan, white-haired, Brooks Brothers suit even on a Saturday, carrying a leather briefcase. And behind them, a Valencia Heights HOA golf cart carrying Patricia Villanueva, HOA president. The cavalry had arrived. Marcus reached Imani first, pulled her into his arms, his hands gentle on her wet skin. Baby, I'm here. Are you okay? I'm okay, she said into his shoulder. I'm okay now. He pulled back, examined her face, her arm, saw the bruises already forming. His jaw clenched. Marcus Chen was many things. Billionaire, philanthropist, tech visionary, but first and foremost, he was a husband who just learned his wife was assaulted. Show me, he said. They walked back to the pool gate. Through the fence, the Johnson reunion continued, though several people had noticed the cars, the obvious authority of the new arrivals. David was already on his phone, talking in low tones. Patricia looked furious. Marcus Chen, Brad said, recognition dawning. From Chen Technologies? That's right, Marcus said, his voice ice. And this is my wife, Dr. Imani Okafor Chen. The woman you just assaulted in her own community. The color drained from Brad's face, from Deborah's face, from every face that suddenly realized they hadn't just harassed a random black woman, they'd assaulted someone with resources, connections, and power. Not fear of a black person, fear of consequences. She didn't say we thought, Deborah stammered. You thought what? Marcus stepped closer to the fence. That a black woman at your pool was trespassing? That she couldn't possibly live here? That you had the right to put your hands on her? It was a misunderstanding. Brad tried. It was assault, David interjected, pulling out an iPad, already pulling up legal codes. California Penal Code 242. Battery, defined as willful and unlawful use of force against another person. Witnessed by security personnel and recorded by multiple parties. Open and shut case, Patricia addressed the crowd. I'm Patricia Villanueva, HOA president. As of this moment, you are all in violation of multiple community rules. The Castellano property lease, held by Brad and Deborah Johnson, is hereby terminated. You have 1 hour to vacate the premises. You can't do that. Deborah shrieked. We paid for the whole month. You forfeited that right when you assaulted a resident, Patricia said coldly. You'll receive no refund. And Valencia Heights will be pursuing legal action for the liability you've created. Imani stepped forward, water still dripping from her locks, pulled herself to her full height, let them see her, really see her, for the first time. My name is Dr. Imani Okafor Chen. I hold a PhD in public health policy from Johns Hopkins University. I did my undergraduate work at Spelman College, graduated summa cum laude, my master's from Harvard. I've published 47 peer-reviewed articles on healthcare disparities. I sit on the boards of 3 hospitals, 2 nonprofits, and 1 Fortune 500 company. She paused, let it sink in. I'm married to Marcus Chen, founder and CEO of Chen Technologies. Together, our net worth is approximately $8.7 billion. We own property in 7 countries. We employ over 40,000 people. We donate more in a year than most people make in a lifetime. Another pause. The Johnson family stood frozen. But none of that, not my education, not my money, not my achievements, none of that should matter. Because I deserved respect the moment I walked through that gate. Every Black person does. Period. You don't have to be exceptional to deserve basic human dignity. She held up her phone. Everything that happened here is documented, recorded, backed up. And every single person who laid hands on me, who participated in my humiliation, who laughed when I was pushed in that pool, you will hear from my attorneys. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today, have you ever seen a racist face consequences in real time? How did it feel? This is what accountability looks like. Comment below. If you're feeling that satisfaction, that finally, consequences, hit that like button. Share this. Let the world see racism has a price tag. Immediate consequences. By the time Imani finished speaking, David was already on a call with local police. Patricia was drafting an incident report. Marcus had his phone out, texting their security team, their PR team, their lawyer team. The Johnsons tried to pack up their party quickly, but police arrived before they could leave. Officers took statements, took photos of Imani's bruises, reviewed the video footage from multiple phones. "Ma'am, we can arrest them right now if you want to press charges," the officer said to Imani. She looked at Debra, at Brad, at all of them scrambling, panicking, realizing their lives were about to change permanently. "Yes," she said. "I'm pressing charges." Brad and Debra were arrested on the spot. Battery. Assault. The others were issued citations. All of them were escorted off Valencia Heights property. Banned for life. But that was just the beginning. By Sunday morning, the story had leaked. Not from Imani, from the Johnson family themselves, trying to control the narrative on social media. But their version, attacked by aggressive woman at pool, fell apart when the video surfaced. 6 different angles showing. Imani calmly presenting her ID, Debra grabbing Imani's book, Brad grabbing Imani's arm, Debra shoving Imani falling into the pool, the family cheering and laughing. By Monday, #Debra Johnson was trending. News outlets picked up the story, tech billionaire's wife assaulted at pool by racist family. By Tuesday, Deborah Johnson had been fired from her job as an elementary school principal. Brad Johnson, a regional sales manager, was placed on indefinite leave, then fired. Their family's party rental business lost every client within 48 hours. By Wednesday, David had filed a civil lawsuit, $10 million for assault, battery, emotional distress, and civil rights violations. Not because they needed the money, because there needed to be consequences. Within the week, 12 other Valencia Heights residents, all people of color, came forward with complaints about the Johnson family's behavior during their month-long stay. The pattern was clear, documented, damning. Let me tell you about everything that happened next, because people need to see that racism, real, documented racism, has real, lasting consequences. Deborah Johnson, fired as principal of Oakwood Elementary within 72 hours. The school board released a statement. "We have zero tolerance for racism and discrimination. Ms. Johnson's actions are incompatible with our values, and her employment has been terminated effective immediately." She lost her pension eligibility, her professional reputation, her career of 23 years. She tried to get another education job, rejected everywhere. The videos had made her unhireable. Last anyone checked, she was working retail at a discount store, still claiming on social media that she wasn't racist, just protecting her family. Brad Johnson lost his sales manager position at a medical supply company. When he tried to claim wrongful termination, the company released a statement about his pattern of discriminatory behavior they'd been documenting. Turns out, he'd made racist comments about clients for years. His LinkedIn was flooded with negative comments. His business collapsed. Their house went into foreclosure. His wife divorced him, taking their kids, citing the assault as evidence of his violent tendencies. The Johnson family business, Johnson Events and Party Planning, went from 50 events a month to 0. Every venue banned them. Every vendor refused to work with them. The business that Brad's father started in 1983, that had planned parties for 3 generations, bankrupted within 6 months. The other Johnsons, extended family members who participated, faced their own consequences. The nephew who filmed while laughing, expelled from his college fraternity, lost his internship. The sister-in-law who grabbed Amani's towel, fired from her nursing job, license under review. The cousin who shouted racial slurs, his employer donated $100,000 to racial justice organizations and made him the public face of what not to do. Social media, the Johnsons' social media profiles were found, archived, shared. Years of casual racism exposed, the N-word used as a joke, Confederate flag photos, MAGA rally attendance, comments about those people. Everything they thought was private or acceptable among friends became public evidence of who they really were. Legal consequences, criminal charges. Brad and Deborah both pled guilty to misdemeanor battery to avoid trial. They were sentenced to probation, community service with diversity organizations, and mandatory bias training. Civil lawsuit, rather than go to trial and face even worse exposure, they settled for $3.2 million. Imani donated every penny to organizations fighting housing discrimination and supporting Black families facing harassment. But here's what Imani won that matters more than money. She won for every Black family who'd been harassed at their pool, questioned in their neighborhood, made to feel like they didn't belong in spaces they'd earned the right to occupy. She won for every Black child who'd been told they were suspicious. She won for every Black professional who'd had their credentials questioned, their achievements diminished, their very existence criminalized. She won for every Black person exhausted from code switching, from shrinking themselves, from making themselves small and non-threatening just to survive another day. The Valencia Heights Ho, terrified of further liability, implemented real changes. Mandatory anti-racism training for all residents. Zero-tolerance policy for discrimination. Security staff trained on racial profiling. Community liaisons hired. People of color in positions of power. Public commitment to diversity and inclusion with measurable goals. $500,000 fund for residents who'd experienced discrimination. These weren't performative changes. These were contracts with penalties, with accountability measures, with real teeth. Other communities across California started implementing similar policies. The case became a teaching example in law schools, business schools, social justice organizations. Protagonist response. When CNN asked Imani for an interview, she agreed, on her terms. Sitting in her home, her locks down around her shoulders, her husband beside her, she spoke with the measured authority of someone who'd processed trauma and emerged with purpose. How do I feel? I'm tired. So deeply tired. Tired of proving I deserve to exist in spaces I've more than earned. Tired of mental gymnastics. Do I speak up and risk violence? Or stay silent and accept disrespect? Tired of being asked to educate people on my humanity. Tired of code switching, of making myself smaller, of protecting white feelings while mine are trampled. She paused, collected herself. I'm tired of knowing I'll have to have the talk with my children, my babies, my beautiful Black babies, who deserve to grow up believing the world is fair. but I'll have to tell them that some people will fear them, hate them, assume the worst just for existing. That's the burden every Black parent carries. The interviewer asked if she was angry. I'm not angry at Debra and Brad Johnson specifically. They're symptoms, not the disease. I'm angry at a system that made them feel entitled to put their hands on me. I'm angry that this happens every single day to Black people who don't have resources, who don't have platforms, who don't have $10 million to spend on lawyers. I'm angry that in 2024, we're still fighting for the basic dignity to exist in spaces without being profiled, questioned, criminalized, assaulted. She leaned forward, looked directly into the camera. But I'm hopeful. Because accountability changes behavior. Because every racist who faces real consequences makes the next one think twice. Because my twins are watching, and they're learning that you don't have to accept disrespect, that your voice matters, that justice, though slow, is possible. Then she added something crucial. I need people to understand, I didn't have to be Dr. Okafor Chen to deserve respect. I didn't have to have a PhD, or money, or a billionaire husband. Every Black person, the janitor, the cashier, the unemployed person, the incarcerated person, every single one deserves to swim in a community pool without being assaulted. Dignity isn't earned through respectability. It's a human right. Do you think the punishment fit the crime? Or should there have been more? What would you have done? Let's discuss in comments, respectfully. These stories matter because they're real. They happen every day to Black people in America. Subscribe so you never miss a story. Hit the bell. Join a community that refuses to let racism go unchecked. We're building accountability. 2 years later, Valencia Heights looks different. The pool has a new sign, community space all residents welcome. There's artwork from local Black artists. The security team is diverse. The HOA board is 40% people of color. Imani still swims there every Saturday morning. Now other Black families join her, families who'd been afraid before, who'd avoided the pool to avoid confrontation. The space has been reclaimed. Her twins, now 8, swim freely. They know the story of what happened, age-appropriate version, and they know what their mother taught them. You belong everywhere. Don't ever let anyone tell you different. Debra and Brad Johnson? Last social media posts showed Debra working at a call center, Brad in a warehouse job. They'd lost their house, their business, their reputation, their comfortable life. Some people said it was too harsh. Imani disagreed. They assaulted me and laughed. They faced consequences. That's not harsh. That's overdue. The Castellano property, the one the Johnsons had rented, its new owners are a Black family, a doctor and a lawyer with 3 kids. When Imani welcomed them to the neighborhood, they hugged her. We heard what you did, the wife said. You made it safer for us to be here. That, Imani said, was worth more than any lawsuit. Marcus Chen Technologies launched an initiative, $50 million to fight housing discrimination. The Imani Okafor Chen Fund for Fair Housing, supporting families facing racism in residential communities. Valencia Heights became a case study, proof that accountability works, that consequences matter, that racists can be stopped not with education or understanding, but with legal and social penalties that make racism too expensive to afford. Miguel, the security guard, was promoted to head of security. One of his first acts was creating a bias reporting system, anonymous, accessible, enforced. No more silent witnesses, no more looking the other way. The story spread beyond Valencia Heights. Across the country, Black families facing pool discrimination, park discrimination, neighborhood harassment started fighting back. They knew now, you can win. Justice is possible. Racists can be held accountable. And the Johnson story, their complete downfall, documented in public, became a cautionary tale. Think twice before you assume that Black person doesn't belong. Think twice before you call the cops on Black people existing. Think twice before you put your hands on anyone, because you might be assaulting someone with more power than you imagined. And even if you're not, even if it's someone without resources, what you're doing is still wrong, still illegal, still punishable. Black dignity is non-negotiable. Closing. Here's what I want you to remember from this story. Racism isn't just burning crosses and white hoods. It's Deborah Johnson assuming a black woman doesn't belong at a luxury pool. It's Brad Johnson calling police on someone exercising their legal rights. It's 30 people standing around supporting racism through action or silence. It's the assumption that black skin equals suspicious, criminal, other. It's microaggressions that pile up until you can't breathe. It's being followed in stores, clutched purses, locked doors, questioned credentials, touched hair, mispronounced names, expected to represent your entire race, told you're articulate like it's surprising, asked where you're really from, having police called for existing, being expected to. Educate while your trauma is dismissed. It's exhaustion. Deep, ancestral exhaustion. For black people watching, I see you. I see your exhaustion from code switching, from navigating respectability politics, from shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. I see you having the talk with your kids, carrying the weight of generational trauma, fighting for dignity in spaces that should just be accessible. You deserve better. You deserve to exist without constantly justifying your existence. You deserve to swim in peace. For everyone else, don't be Deborah Johnson. Don't be Brad Johnson. Don't be the silent witnesses who knew it was wrong, but said nothing. Don't be the people who enabled racism through complicity. Be better. Speak up. Use your voice, your privilege, your platform to interrupt racism when you see it. Because underestimating black people, that's a mistake you can't afford to make. We are doctors, lawyers, billionaires, teachers, artists, parents, community leaders. We are brilliant, resilient, powerful, because we have to be. And racism? In 2024, it comes with receipts, consequences, and accountability. Final CTA, next week, a black teenager was arrested for stealing his own car until police realized who his father was. You won't believe how this ends. Hit subscribe. Turn on notifications. These stories need to be told. End screen. Until then, respect costs nothing. Dignity isn't negotiable. And racism, it costs everything. Peace.